Hello, this is Spartan Commander, and this is a 971st Rome Total War Brotherhood game that I've put onto YouTube. Just to say, this is one of our new concept battles, which I will explain to you exactly what that entails after we've introduced the armies, okay, after we've introduced the teams. As I say, looking at this map here, you can see once again, this is a map full of undulating ground, which means tactical movement is very important. Here's that defensive position that we've looked at before on this map, where if they take up positions by those rocks there, if anybody wants to attack them, it's kind of uphill. And especially over on this side here, you can see how steep the hill is there if they decide to take up a defensive position there. Okay, so that is where a lot of enemy teams do take up defensive positions there. As I say, once again, look at the ground, how undulating it is. And as I say, tactical ground movement on undulating ground maps is very important. Just look at that dip there. I certainly wouldn't want my army down in there while I'm being attacked from above. That would be a no-go, I think, really, to be honest. And here you can see there's big open plains as well, but you've also got the woods. So barbarian troops are going to get a woods bonus if they can get enemy troops to fight in the woods. But as I say, this is a new concept battle, which I will explain after we've introduced the teams. Okay, our first teammate is Brotherhood member Skema, who has bought the Parthian faction. Now remember that Parthia's infantry is so poor that we allow them 10 cavalry max. Okay, and Skema's got 10 cataphracts, 1 horse archer, 4 archers, and 4 eastern infantry. Okay, but remember both Scythia and Parthia's infantry are so poor we allow them 10 cavalry max in our battles. Okay, quick look at the units here in this Parthian army. Now their archers there are mid-range archers. You can see they don't wear any armor, so their defense is really bad there. Okay, but remember, all this team's units are fully upgraded, but I'll explain that a bit later on. There's the cataphracts there. We call them the tanks of the ancient world because they're armored from head to toe. They got a massive 9 charge bonus, and used correctly, they can be battle-winning troops. Okay, and then we move on to the Eastern Infantry. Now, years and years ago, people used to call these the pajama people because it looked to people like these guys had just got out of bed, grabbed a shield and spear and went into battle wearing their pajamas. So, yeah, so the Eastern Infantry there are called the pajama people, and believe me, no matter what upgrades, fully upgraded, these infantry just don't cut it on the 31k battlefield there. And there's the horse archers. Now Parthia's got some of the best horse archers in the game. Okay, so you can see he's got a horse archer unit there. So there's Skema's fully upgraded Parthian army. Our next teammate is Brotherhood member Fesen. Now Fesen has got 11 chosen axemen, 3 berserkers and 6 cavalry. Okay, quick look at the chosen axemen. Remember, these guys are effective against armor. They carry those effective against armor axes, so they can cut wide swathes through heavily armored troops like Roman infantry, and they've got excellent morale, just like urban cohorts as well. So they are a formidable force. And then we move on to the berserkers. These guys, the infamous berserkers, they've got 2 hit points, excellent attack specifications, effective against armor maces, but above all that, they bring a massive fear factor, taking morale away from enemy troops, destabilizing them and making them more susceptible to routing. And arguably, these are the most powerful units in the game. That's why we only allow 3. In the early days of Rome Total War, people used to bring whole armies of berserkers, and it was just a case of point-click win. But what we found over the years, that 3 berserker units, 3 of the most powerful units in the game, allowed in the Germanic army, can very often still be very, very effective as long as it's used tactically. And then, of course, you've got the Gothic cavalry. I say check out the specifications of Gothic cavalry. I think you'll be surprised on how good the Germanic Gothic cavalry is there. So there is Fesen's Germanic army there. Remember, all fully upgraded there. Our next teammate is Brotherhood member Mantu, who's bought the Britannia faction. Now he's got 14 chosen swordsmen and 6 chariots. Okay, 14 chosen swordsmen, 6 chariots. There you are. Chosen swordsmen also got excellent morale, and as I've been talking about a lot in our battles, I think chosen swordsmen are very underestimated. The reason they don't do that good on the 31k battlefield is because they suffer massive casualties from Roman pilas. But if you can be tactical and strategic and use your chosen swordsman to avoid the pillar strike of the Roman troops, you'd be surprised on how much damage they can do to Roman troops. Okay, remember Britannia's got 2 lots of chariots. They got the heavy chariots with 3 hit points for I think 580 denarii, or you've got these barbarian warlord chariots with 5 hit points for over 1,000 denarii. Okay, now I've experimented with both chariots over the years, and I was always recommend these barbarian warlord chariots. The 5 hit points really do make a difference. Also, these chariots don't run amok. Okay, when they get routed, they leave the battlefield like any other unit. And pound for pound, I think most people think that these chariots are the best chariots in the game. Okay, and of course that is a big advantage that they don't run amok, isn't it? So you're not going to kill your allies if they do run amok. So that's a fully upgraded Britannia army there. And our last teammate is myself, who has bought the Spanish faction. Oh my gosh. Okay, I've got 17 bull warriors and 3 armored cavalry generals. Okay, 17 bull warriors, 3 armored cavalry generals. Okay, and there's the bull warriors if you haven't seen them before. Just to let you know that the Spanish troops worship the bull god and the sun god. So can you see that the sun is being held up by the bull's horns there? So it's kind of like they're taking both their gods into battle there by the horns holding the sun up on their helmets. Okay, so I guess that would give them good morale, thinking that they've got the gods with them as they go into battle. And as I say, I've got 3 armored cavalry general units there as my cavalry. And as I say, this is all experimental armies for us, because as I say, this is new concept battles that we've just started here, just for something a bit different now and again. Should be a cracker for you to watch. And here is the other team. We have Brotherhood member Royer, who has got 14 infantry and 6 cavalry. Okay, but it's not quite the bog standard 31k Roman army as we'll look at now. And you'll see that Royer has bought 2 additional morale boosting eagle units there. Now can you think, when you saw the other team, can you think why he's bringing extra morale to his army? Okay, so he's got his general morale bonus and 2 eagle morale bonuses there as well. That's because he knows that the troops that he's facing are morale sapping troops, so he's bringing extra morale giving units there. Their next teammate is Brotherhood member Siema the Great, and he's got 4 archers, 6 cavalry and 10 infantry. Okay, and so that's a pretty good solid Roman army there. Don't forget, all these Roman armies are tried and tested, all tough armies there. And our next teammate is Brotherhood member Tabor. Now Tabor's got 6 cavalry and 12 infantry. I'll say 6 cavalry and 12 infantry. He's bought some early legionary cohorts so he can put more upgrades on his infantry. I certainly wouldn't want to stay in that dip if when the enemy attacks there, that's for sure. Okay, and their last teammate is Brotherhood member Vidar. Now Vidar's got 14 infantry and 6 cavalry, but also what I'd like to show you here is you'll see that he's made his general an eagle unit. So there you are, he's got 2 eagle units there, and one of them being his general unit, so he's bringing extra morale as well, and that's because they know the armies they're going up against will have morale sapping troops, so that's why they're adding extra morale giving units to their armies. And of course his cavalry will be hiding in the woods. It's got the potential to be an absolutely cracking battle. Okay, at this stage of the battle I wanted to explain our new concept battles. Now most 31k players know the weak 31k factions, you know, the ones that that they consider to be the weaker or lesser factions on the 31k battlefield. Okay, so what I do is when I host one of these battles, I give a list of the weaker, lesser factions and ask 4 players to choose from this list. Here is the list, okay? It's Germanic, Dacia, Gaul, Britannia, Spain, Scythia, Parthia, Armenia, or Thrace. Okay, so I asked 4 players to choose one faction from that list. Okay, and everybody in the 31k game will know that most people would think that those factions are lesser, weaker factions. Okay, but the people that choose those factions, they get maximum money, so they can fully upgrade all their units. Okay, so yes, they might be looked upon as the lesser, weaker faction in the 31k battlefield, but they are given maximum money so that every single unit is fully upgraded. Okay, so the lesser, weaker factions get maximum money, so they are fully upgraded. It's normal 31k rules, except just 4 foot archers max is allowed. Okay, and remember that we're going up against battle hardened, tried and tested Roman armies. Now the team here, team 1, that are all Rome, they can only spend 31k. Okay, so they're going to bring their battle hardened, tried and tested Roman armies against the lesser, weaker factions, if you like. Okay, but remember that we've got Britannia and Germania here, which both get the woods bonus. So if they can encourage Roman troops into the woods, that would be great, because they can fight them with the woods bonus. Now, I would just suggest here that Spain and Numidia are probably looked upon as the weakest 31k factions. And the reason that I say that is because when do you ever see Spain or Numidia on the 31k battlefield? I would suggest very, very rarely. So that's why I decided to take Spain here. Okay, now as we said earlier, I've got 17 fully upgraded bull warriors. Okay, so I've picked probably one of the most weakest factions on the 31k battlefield, but let's give it a try. Okay, this is a new concept that we're trying here, so everything is experimental, and we've got to try and change bits now and again that don't work, and encourage the bits that do work. So remember, this is an experimental new concept battle. See what you think. Okay, at this very, very early stage of the battle, we've literally pressed start. You'll see here that Mantu is taking his Britannia chariots towards the enemy Scipii army there. And here you'll see Siema bringing his red Julii army here towards the chariots. Okay, and if I remember correctly, I think Siema's got archers, and I think he'd love to get his archers in range of those chariots if he could. Pause again for a second here. As I say, you can see him moving towards the chariots. So they were. There's his archers. As I say, he would love to get his archers in range of the chariots. Remember, archers kill chariots quite quickly, so that's what he'd like to do. So Mantu needs to be extremely tactical with these chariots. Now remember, as I say, these are new concept battles, so we're kind of getting used to handling these different factions that we don't usually handle. So it's all experimental at the moment. Now, as I understand it, the team plan was to all go round to the right to Skema, and that's the initial team plan there. We were going to go and fight in that particular area all the way over here. Okay, so that's where the original team plan was going to be, and this is where we were going to fight, over in this area. So you can see Skema has already got his Parthian army there ready for the rest of us to join him. But of course, like when you make plans, things can change. And over here you'll see that the enemy Roman armies are abandoning that really good defensive position there. Okay, remember that we looked at that earlier, really good defensive position, but you can see them all moving off in the direction of Mantu's chariots there. Okay, so there you are. You can see all these battle hardened, tried and tested Roman armies there moving towards our if you like, what people would class as lesser or weaker factions. So there's the Britannia troops there. Now notice they're in the woods. Okay, so remember that Germania and Britannia get the woods bonus. Okay, so what they would like is the Roman troops to come into the woods, and so then that their barbarian troops, as I say, would get the woods bonus, which enhances their defense and attack specifications there. and that's what our barbarian allies would like the Romans to do. But as I say, please remember, as I've said before, this is all experimental. This is new concept battles, so it's kind of learning you know, what's going on here. And got to be honest, when we first started these new concept battles, the Romans were winning you know, over and over again, because we were just not used to handling these barbarian factions, because obviously we hardly ever used them on the 31k battlefield. Okay, so over here you'll see that Mantu is loitering with intent, and his intent will be to smash those chariots into the Romans just at the right time. That's what he'll be looking to do there. But look at those battle-hardened, tried and tested Roman armies all kind of consolidating together there against us. Okay, so here you'll see that the plan has now changed. I'm no longer running over to the right flank. Can you see this is slightly higher ground here? This is where I might decide to place my Spanish army on that slightest highest ground there. Against the might of the Roman armies that are facing us. Here you'll see Mantu moving his troops from one set of woods into another. Can you think why he's doing that? Okay, well, the reason he's doing that is because he's going to team up with his Germanic ally Fesen, who's already got his troops hiding in the woods there. So that's a good tactical move by Mantu, moving his Britannia chosen swordsmen into the woods where his Germanic ally are already hiding. And as I say, they would love for the Roman troops to come into the woods there so that they could fight the Roman troops, and of course, as we talked about earlier, barbarian troops get the woods bonus. But here you are, look at this mass of Roman armies here. As I say, don't forget these are battle-hardened, tried and tested 31k Roman armies against our, well, as some people would call them, lesser and weaker factions here. I always think that Britannia and Germania, though, I always class them as shock troops. And what I mean by that is, here, can you see, I'm trying to form up on the undulating ground on a slightly higher part of the undulating ground here to face the onslaught of the Roman troops there. Okay, but as I say, Britannia, to me, their chariots are shock troops, and of course the Germanic berserkers are shock troops as well. So both Germania and Britannia have got shock troops in their armies there, and if we use them tactically, maybe, just maybe, we might be able to rout a few of these Roman troops here. Pause the game for a second here. So as I say, you can see Mantu's chariots here, as I said earlier, loitering with intent. He'll try and use those as tactically as he can, but he needs, as I say, he needs to be very tactical with them, because with that mass of hardened Roman troops there, it's going to be difficult, I think. As I say, he's got his Britannia chosen swordsman in the woods there, and as I say here, I mean, maybe they might come for me. You know, they might not want to go into the woods to face the woods bonus against the barbarians. They might all come from my Spanish troops there. And as I say, don't forget, Spain and Numidia are probably classed as the two weakest factions in the 31k game. And me bringing one of the weakest factions in the game here, I'd have thought would have been a good target for the enemy troops. But I have got 17 bull warriors. They are fully upgraded as we had the maximum money there. So as I say, this is all experimental. This is a new concept that we're trying on Rome Total War, and as I say, it's all experimental. So if you see any mistakes or anything like that, it's we're just getting used to fighting with these particular factions here. And as you can see, I've moved my Spanish troops onto the slightly higher ground on this undulating ground map, and you'll see my Parthian ally Skema moving his cavalry towards my troops. And as I say here, this is what you might find interesting. You can't see, let's pause the game for a second, you can't see the troops, but if you put the arrow over there, can you see Fesen's Gothic cavalry are hiding there? Okay, so if you put the arrow over them, you can see where they are. There you can see the berserkers, look, are hiding in that part of the woods. Because I'm his ally, look, I can see where the troops are hiding, but of course the enemy troops can't see. They know they're in the woods somewhere, but they don't know their exact position in there. So as I say, you got Britannia and Germanic troops there hiding in the woods, hoping and praying that the Romans will charge into the woods there, as I say, so that both Britannia and Germania will get the woods bonus fighting the Roman troops. As I say, you can see me bringing my Spanish troops back here. Right, there's the There's Mantu's chosen swordsman. Can you notice how he's turning them to face the threat of the enemy troops? And don't forget, the reason, as I say, that chosen swordsmen don't seem to do that great on a 31k battlefield is because they lose so many men from the armor-piercing pylons that the Romans throw into them. Here you see, as I say, my Parthian ally here, Skema, bringing over his infantry and cavalry to support my Spanish army there against possibly 2 Roman armies here. Oh my gosh, looks like I'm going to face the Julii and Scipii there. Right, here you'll see Tabor taking 4 of his infantry units forward there. Make no mistake to throw pylons into Mantu's infantry. You'll notice that these 4 are early legionary cohort units, and the reason he's bought those is because they're cheap, and he can then upgrade his urban cohorts more. Can you see? He's only got 3 upgrades on. I'm probably thinking gold defense there on those units, so they're very cheap, so he's got extra money to upgrade his infantry. So his urban cohort's probably got 7 upgrades on, and experience, stripe, gold shield, gold attack. But he's getting close to the woods here, look, so he can throw pylons into Mantu's Britannia army. That's what he's looking to do there. Now, whether he's going to advance into the woods, I'm not sure. But as I say, over here, great support by my Parthian ally. Bought his cataphracts and his infantry and his archers over here as well to support my Spanish army against, well, it looks like 2 Roman armies. Okay, but here, can you see how Mantu is retreating some of his units there to try and draw the Roman troops into the woods? Nice tactical move there, my Mantu. Here you can see, as I say, Parthia there pulling his cavalry back. He doesn't want to be hit by pylons there. Just pulled them back a little bit. But as I say, you can see my troops and the Parthian infantry there integrated on that slightly higher ground. There you can see that Germanic cavalry there, look, been hit by pylons from the Roman troops. As I say, this is the big disadvantage of barbarian troops here. I'm suffering casualties, big casualties from the armor-piercing pylons that the Romans can throw in here. Okay. Oh my gosh. It looks to me like Scipii, SBQR and Julii may well attack my Spanish troops here. Once again, you can see Mantu, as we said earlier, loitering with intent with his chariots there. He's just waiting for the right moment to throw them in. But, oh my gosh, look, there could be potentially 3 Roman armies attacking my Spanish army and my Parthian allies' army here. Talk about overkill. The pylons alone could destroy a lot of our troops, couldn't they, before they even get into hand-to-hand fighting here. So, yeah, not looking too good for Parthia and Spain there, I don't think, but we just have to wait and see. As I say here, you can see Tabor's green Brutii troops are gradually moving into the woods. Okay. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if Mantu decided to attack the Brutii troops there, maybe before they could start throwing pylons into his troops. Do you see what I mean? If he can hit them hard and fast, he may suffer less pylon damage there. But there you are, you can see him charging in. He knows he's getting the woods bonus. Okay, he knows his troops are getting the woods bonus, and look how aggressive he's being with those chosen swordsmen here. But you can see those other Brutii troops now who aren't engaged. They'll be throwing pylons into the Britannia troops, so he will be suffering a lot of damage from pylons there, from those troops that aren't engaged yet. Okay, so it looks to me here that my Spanish army here and with my Parthian ally are going to face the Julii and Scipii enemy troops there. Okay, looks like they're going to attack us there. You can see my Parthian ally there ready to support. But over here you can see the enemy SBQR and Brutii armies are deciding they're going to try and take out our Britannia and Germanic ally. Okay, make no mistake, the Roman troops, generals, they do know that both Germania and Britannia are in the woods. There's a heck of a lot of pilots going into those Britannia chosen swordsmen there. But look how aggressive Mantu is being with those chosen swordsmen. Nice to see that. As I say, that's one thing to try and do, to try and avoid being pilot hit, is to be aggressive and hit. Because once they're engaged, they won't throw a pilot at you, see what I mean? Alright, you can see the SBQR troops of Roy are moving forward. Oh my gosh. And I know why he stood back there, because he's going to be throwing loads of pylons in there. You can see the Germanic troops. There's the berserkers, look, and you can see the Germanic cavalry. Now, are they going to attack now? Are they going to ram home the chosen sword, Britannia chosen swordsman attack? We just have to see with that. But look at all these Britannia troops here killed by pilers. As I say, this is the big disadvantage to barbarian troops. The armor-piercing pilers of Rome can cause them so much damage before they even get into hand-to-hand fighting. Okay, so here you'll see I've moved my Spanish troops forward a little bit there, so they're slightly on the higher ground of this undulating map there, but you can see a lot of Julii troops there and Scipii troops there ready to attack. But here Mantu's chosen swordsman, oh my gosh, I think that the casualties that they suffer from those SBQR pilers coming in on them there has now routed a lot of those Britannia troops. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So you can see here, I think at this stage of the battle, most of Mantu's chosen swordsmen have now been routed. Okay, so that's not a very good sign for us here, is it? And that's because they suffered so many casualties from those SBQR Roman troops there throwing pilers into them there. So that's what would have killed a lot of them. I can see a lot of dead Britannia troops there which were killed by the pilers. Mantu still got a few of his infantry units left, but here comes the Germania troops. Okay, so Fesen decided now to bring his Germanic troops into the flank of the Roman troops there. Okay, so it'd be interesting to see how well the Germanic troops does. And as I say, you've got Mantu's chariots moved once again over to the flank of the enemy troops, ready to charge in. Okay, but it'll be interesting to see here, because as I say, it looks like the enemy blue Scipii and red Julia armies here are going to take on Parthia and Spain, where their Brutii and SBQR allies are going to take on Germania and Britannia there. And I think, if I'm not mistaken now, are all the Britannia troops routed? No, I think there's still some units fighting there, but here comes the Germania troops there. Now you can see a Royer turning in SBQR troops there to face the threat of the Germanic chosen axemen with their effective against armor axes. Now, how many pilers Royer's got left, I don't know, but there you can see our Parthian ally there, Skema, being a good teammate that he always is, look, charging his cavalry and trying to help our Germanic and Britannia ally there. Nice bit of support there. Oh my gosh, he's going to get smashed by the SBQR cavalry, and bang, as it smashes in there. Oh my gosh. And you can see there that the Parthian cavalry he sent in to help there looks to me like it's on the verge of routing. There's one particular unit routed there. He's got those other two units, other three units there fighting those Roman troops, but there's a good chance that all those oh my gosh. So those Parthian cavalry that Skema sent in to help his allies have now all been routed, as you can see, where there's one unit still fighting, but I think that's probably going to rout soon. And all of Mantu's infantry has now been routed. Okay, so all of Mantu's chosen swordsmen have now been taken out. Okay, the only good thing is, from that point of view, you can see the Germanic cavalry ready to charge in. The only good thing is maybe that the SBQR and Brutii troops have thrown all their pilers into the chosen swordsmen, so they might not have pilers left now to throw into the Germanic troops. So that would be good for us. Hopefully, as I say, the Mantu's infantry took all the pilers, and the Germanic troops might not have any pilers to face there. So that would be good news for us. Okay, here you can see the enemy Julii and Scipii troops here. Look to me like they've decided they're going to do a concerted attack on my poor Spanish troops and my allies' Parthian infantry there. Oh my gosh. So I can see some of my forward units, I think, have already routed there from the attack of the two Roman armies there that are charging down on me there. So will the Spanish bull warriors do any good? As I say, this is all experimental, and as I say, in a normal 31k battle, Spain and Numidia are looked upon probably are the weakest factions for the 31k battle, but you can see them all looking to me like they're going to charge into my bull warriors. Will they hold? Well, I don't know. Pretty doubtful, but we'll see. But over here you can see the berserkers there have been activated. Berserker units been activated, plus a chosen axeman. Now if you notice here, can you see that Fesen are keeping these fresh units back, ready to throw in when he's ready? Okay, another Berserker unit running forward. It hasn't been activated yet. You can see another Berserker unit has been activated there, and we'll be chopping down those Brutii troops in the woods. Plus the Germanic cavalry here, the Gothic cavalry, are charging in to the Brutii infantry as well. So, okay, so the Germanic troops now, the Germanic shock troops have now been activated there. Now, what I'm thinking here, can you see the chariots of Mantu? Once again, he's moved his chariots tactically again here. Now, what I'm thinking here is a hammer and anvil attack. Right, you got the Germanic berserkers there will be taking morale away from the enemy troops, and make no mistake, the chariot there, read the writing there, look, frightened by chariots. So these Roman troops are having morale sapped from the berserkers and from the chariots. Another say hammer and anvil attack, maybe Germanic troops being the anvil, the chariots being the hammer there. But look at all those Roman troops there. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. But over here you can see the enemy red Julii and blue Scipii here really starting to attack my bull warriors there. Okay, and I've got my Parthian allies, pajama people, Eastern infantry in there as well, trying to support my infantry. And I can see some Brutii cavalry coming over here to smash into my flank. I'm going to charge my armoured general cavalry units into them. Bang! As they charge in there. So those armoured cavalry generals, and notice how they use their swords. I've alt-attacked them, so they're using their heavy swords instead of their light lances there. And my Parthian allies over there to help as well. But oh my gosh. Okay, so the enemy Julii have now attacking. Look at this Scipii cavalry. Going to smash into my bull warriors there. Bang! As they smash in there. I'm almost expecting my bull warriors to mass rout. Okay, because I think this might be one of the first times I've ever played them. Are they going to mass rout? You got cavalry coming in from this direction. Oh my gosh. I think my Spanish army could be on the verge of routing, but look at this. The chariots have come in behind the enemy troops. Hammer and anvil attack, and Fesen's bolt is fresh. Axemen into the battle as well. You've got the berserkers sapping the morale, as well as the chariots there. The shock troops of Britannia and Germania have combined there to start routing enemy troops. I think all of Tabor's green Brutii troops have now been routed, so that's good news for us. Oh my gosh, we could mass rout Royer's troops there as well, but can my Spanish bull warriors hold on before I get reinforcements to come over here? Well, I'm not quite sure. I can't believe my bull warriors are still holding. The bull warriors are still holding. Look at that. Even with the pillars they've taken and the impact of all those enemy troops attacking. I'm just waiting for the Scipii troops to pour in there as well. Oh my gosh. And you can see my Parthian allies, Eastern infantry there, is keeping at the back, ready to put in when necessary. Right. Okay, so Mantu's Britannia army and Fesen Germanic army between them have now routed the SBQR troops of Royer. Okay, you can see they've all been routed, and the Brutii troops of Tabor. So well done to Mantu and Fesen there with their shock troop armies. Have routed those two Roman armies. Now, can they get over to me before my bull warriors crack? Because with all these elite Roman troops attacking the bull warriors there, I'm not sure. Could they break? Could they be routed? And then all those Roman troops could turn on to my tired allies there. We just have to wait and see. He can drink with his ancestors and watch his warriors flee. Okay, so make no mistake, all the Scipii and Julii pillars would have been thrown into my bull warriors. As I say, my Parthian ally really helping out there with his heavy cataphract. Oh my gosh, here comes a Scipii cavalry charge. Alright, he stopped. He stopped the cavalry charge there. Now he's going to continue it. Get ready. Bang! And see my Germanic ally coming over, and bang! As the Germanic cavalry smash into the back of those Julii infantry there. Still, my Spanish bull warriors are still holding. Oh my gosh, still holding. Unbelievable. But you can see my allies starting to come over now to help now to fight these two Roman armies that are still left here. I can see the chariots there in behind there. You can see the Scipii infantry coming around the flank of my Spanish bull warriors. There's another cavalry charge coming in there, look, and the Scipii troops, bang, as they smash in there. Right, okay, so You can see here now that Skema has moved his pajama people, Eastern Infantry, over to try and engage the enemy troops. One pajama people unit is routed on impact, but you can see the Scipii troops here of Vidar trying to get in on the flank of my troops, but you can see all my allies, including the berserkers, are now coming over here to attack the rear of those engaged enemy troops. The chariots are coming in as well. There's the Gothic cavalry and the berserkers. Oh my gosh, we've got the potential here of maybe having a mass rout of Roman troops. There's that Germanic cavalry smashing in. Here comes the chariots, and bang as they smash in there. Oh my gosh, and you can see our Parthian ally there charging his cavalry in as well. I think all of the enemy Julii troops maybe had been routed at this stage, although I think the Julii general's still alive, but the Scipii arm is still there. Right, pause the game here. So what I'm going to do now is an old school, old-fashioned surge attack with my bull warriors. Okay, watch my bull warriors, watch my Spanish bull warriors there. Surge, come on guys, surge. Can you see how it's surging in there? You can see the chariots there. You can see us all really smashing in to these Roman Scipii troops there. And oh my gosh, just look at that mass rout. There you go. Oh, you can see there's still some more Scipii infantry there charging in there, but I've got a feeling they're going to mass rout pretty soon there. And there you are. And our team has managed to go on to win the battle there against elite, tried and tested, battle-hardened Roman armies there. So I think we did quite well there, really. And as I say, this is all experimental. We're getting used to these factions there. You know, I think that's the first time I've used Spain for many years there. And I thought Mantu and Fesen handled Germania and Britannia really well. And of course, Schemers, Parthians were all over the place, helping everywhere. So over here, this is where Mantu's chariot hit, and the Germanic troops there sandwiched the enemy troops and took a lot of them out. And over here, this is where Mantu's infantry was fighting the enemy troops there. You can see the dead there in amongst the trees. And as I say, the barbarian troops get that woods bonus, so I thought the Britannia troops, bearing in mind they suffered a lot of pilot damage, I thought they held quite well there in amongst the woods. If you look closely, you'll see piles of Britannia troops where they were just killed by pilers there. And as we move over here, this was a big cavalry scrap. Remember, this is where I threw my armoured cavalry units in there to stop cavalry coming in on our flank. There, as we move up the battlefield here, up to the slightly higher ground where I positioned my troops on this undulating ground map, where tactical ground movement is really important. And there you are. You can see that we've gone on to win the battle here. So as I say, the new concept battles is the lesser, weaker factions that a lot of people think on the 31k battlefield. We give those factions maximum money, so they upgrade all their units to max, and then they fight battle-hardened, tried and tested 31k Roman armies there. And I've got to be honest, when we first started this, the Roman armies did win over and over again. But of course, we're trying to get used to these, if you like, these lesser factions here. I think Germania and Britannia, with their shock troops, they can be very effective on the 31k battlefield, to be honest. But you can see in this environment, when they're fully upgraded here against the tried and tested Roman armies, they performed, I thought, very well there. But saying that, I have seen these teams with Britannia and Germania beaten by Roman armies in these new concept battles. So, you know, I think we probably got it up to now. This is one of the earlier battles here. So first thing I'd like to say is really well played to everybody in the game. I thought everybody played well. I think for our team to get a clear victory over tried and tested, battle-hardened Roman 31k armies, I thought that was pretty good there. And the highest kills, get ready for this, goes to Brotherhood member Fesen with his Germanic army, 2,161 kills. So well done to Fesen with Germania there. Great kills there. I thought he played Germania very well. So well done to him. Well done to Royer. He'll probably be disappointed he got less than 1,000 kills, but I thought he played well. Well done to Siema there, the great. You got less than 1,000 kills. He'll probably be disappointed. Well done to Tabor. He got over 1,000 kills, so well done to him. And Vidar might be a bit disappointed. He got less than 1,000 kills as well. But really well played, guys. It was a good battle there. Really well done. My Spanish army there got 1,100 kills. Quite pleased with that. And look how many troops I've got left. You know, I lost, 425 troops in the whole battle. So it goes to show how good those troops are there. Well done to Mantu with his Britannia troops there. Got some good kills there. So well done to him. And well done to Fesen. There's highest kills in the game. And well done to Skema. If you notice, he was supporting all over the battlefield there with his Parthian army. So well done to him. And talk about factions there. So with Spain, Britannia, Germania and Parthia all fully upgraded. As I say, a lot of people may class those as lesser 31k factions up against 4 Roman tried and tested battle-hardened 31k armies. So I thought we did quite well there. And as I say, Mantu, I thought got some good kills. Bearing in mind he lost his infantry early on in the woods, didn't he? They're mostly killed by pilers. So he got some good kills there as well. Anyway, this is a new concept battle that we just throw in on an evening. You know, might have 2 or 3 battles of an evening there in between our normal 31k battles. Please put your thoughts about these new concept battles in the comments, because I think it'd be interesting to read what you think about this. And I think these battles are greatly enjoyed, actually, and we're playing more and more of them. This is an early one, and we're playing more and more of them now, and as I say, it's getting about 50-50, the wins there between the Romans and the Barbarians. It's Spartan Commander saying bye for now, see you soon.